News Talk 610 AM and 102.1 FM. KBNU.
KBNU News Time is 4:03. I'm Bill Walter with this news update brought to you by Roof Rescue. When the Nora Eccles Harrison Museum of Art at Utah State University was awarded a $750,000 grant in 2022, it was designated to help in the construction of the 9,500 square foot Wanla Center for Art Education and Research in addition to the museum. The new center will include a new study center with an open work area, plus a research library and room for art storage for collection growth. The museum received the maximum amount of funding from the National Endowment for the Humanities in support of the new center. And last week, NEH Chair Shelley Lowe and Senior Deputy Chair Anthony Mitchell made a special visit to USU and spent time at the Wanla construction site. The visiting NEH leaders, making their first official trip to Utah, met Friday in the museum's media room with a small group of faculty and administrators from the museum, the Kane College of the Arts, and College of Humanities and Social Sciences. Museum Executive Director Katie Lee Coven said the two NEH officials were invited to Utah by the Sundance Film Festival, but were able to add impromptu visits to meet grant recipients while making stops at Utah State University and Stokes Nature Center. The NEH is a federal agency which funds initiatives in the humanities. KBNU News Time is 4:04. KBNU weather for tonight. Chance of rain or snow before 8 p.m., then a chance of snow after 8, but little in the way of additional accumulation expected tonight. Overnight low in the mid-20s, and then cloudy to start the day Friday, gradually becoming mostly sunny, and the high temperature in the mid-30s. Right now, kind of a mix of rain and snow. It's 33 here at KBNU. KBNU weather brought to you by Maple Creek Ranch. Build your dream home on some of the most beautiful lots in Cache Valley. 2.5-acre lots, miles of wilderness, babbling brooks, and more. Just east of Franklin, Idaho, all roads are now paved. Learn more at maplecreekranch.net.
Roof Rescue is your local roof specialist, dedicated to keeping your home safe and dry no matter the weather. Their team of experienced roofers is here to serve you, providing top-quality service at affordable prices. From minor repairs to complete roof replacements, they've got you covered. Remember, your roof is your first line of defense in protecting your family from the elements. So don't wait until the next storm to discover your roof problems. Call Roof Rescue today at 435-999-4268. They're your trusted local roofing experts, here to keep your home safe and dry. Roof Rescue, celebrating 10 years of providing watertight peace of mind.
KBNU News Time is 4:06. New data shared by the Utah Department of Public Safety's Aero Bureau shows a dramatic increase in workload and call volume from years prior. The Bureau features pilots, tactical flight officers, and rescue specialists based out of Salt Lake City and St. George. The St. George hangar officially went online in early 2023. In 2023, the Bureau worked 886 total missions, up from 538 in 2022. Of those 886 missions, it resulted in 293 people found, 131 hoists, and 403 arrests. Specifically, the St. George base responded to 257 missions, 120 people found, 55 hoists, and 42 arrest assists. In 2022, statewide, there were 195 people found, 120 hoists, and 190 arrests. The Aero Bureau works with search and rescue crews in all of Utah's counties on critical life-saving missions. They also provide an invaluable time-saving tool by working from the sky versus trekking through difficult terrain. And a person was briefly hospitalized after being injured during an avalanche that happened at Snowbird. According to ski officials, the avalanche was triggered during mitigation shortly before 8:30 this past Saturday morning in closed terrain, and it was before the resort opened. They mentioned that the slide caught a ski patroller, but they were not buried. However, the person did suffer a lower leg injury. The patroller was transferred to the University of Utah Hospital, where they received treatment before being released. KVNU News Time is 4:08. For more details on these and other stories, visit CashValleyDaily.com.
Keeping you informed 24/7. News Talk KVNU 610 AM and 102.1 FM.
Here's what some of our patients have to say about how Red River has changed their lives.
So before I started at Red River, I was having a lot of stomach pain. I was overweight, severe anxiety. I had been to multiple doctors. We had done tests and no one could find anything that was wrong. And then a friend mentioned Red River and I went and saw him and it has changed my whole life. I'm sleeping through the night. I have energy for my kids. I've lost 30 pounds. No more stomach pains. I just feel really good.
Our goal is to focus on imbalances that are driving your condition or symptoms, not just give you Band-Aid answers. So when a patient comes to our office, we'll sit down with them extensively and go over their blood work to find out the underlying imbalances driving their symptoms.
Call Red River Health and Wellness at 855-55-RIVER. With offices in Logan, South Jordan, Springville, and St. George.
Call Red River today.
What if we told you the next 3 times you fill your tank, you could save money? Well, at Chevron, it's true. You can get $1 off per gallon on your next 3 visits when you download the Chevron app and join Chevron Rewards. Earn points on every fuel transaction and qualifying in-store purchases at any Cache Valley Chevron station. Doesn't it feel great to get rewarded for being you? Download the app and join to get started today. Terms and conditions apply. Visit any Cache Valley Chevron station for details or go to ChevronTexacalRewards.com.
When it comes to home care, it's important to know you have a choice. If you or a loved one is in need of hospice or home health services, remember that Primrose Home Care and Hospice believes in treating the patient as well as the problem. We work directly with you and your doctor to create a health plan that's catered to your needs. Our team is devoted to providing options in the freedom and safety of your own home. Visit us at primrosecare.com or call to schedule a free consultation. Primrose Home Care and Hospice, your local hospice and home health provider since 2006.
It's a new year and an opportunity to plan for the future. That's what we're doing here, the Cache Valley Media Group. We're in the middle of a significant upgrade in the technology we use to bring our community the best of local news, weather, sports, music, and entertainment. But in the process of doing that, we may encounter a few bumps in our programming along the way. We assure you, we're aware, and our team is working very hard to make our transition as seamless as possible. Thanks for your patience. Thanks for listening to this radio station. And from all of us at the Cache Valley Media Group, we hope you have a great 2024.
For the people.
We are waiting with bated breath for news from the Cache Republican Party meeting an executive committee tonight.
With Jason Williams.
And I'm really excited about this next segment. We have 2 guests here in studio. We're going to talk about something that we've talked about many times here on the show, but from a bit of a different angle.
Weekday afternoons from 4 till 6 on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102 FM.
Welcome to KVNU's For the People. I'm Jason Williams, Bill Walter here in the studio. It is Thursday. It is 4 o'clock. You are accustomed to our For the People Theater Hour with Charlie Schill, who is here in the studio. Over there, I can't see him, but he's here. We're going to postpone that just for a bit because we have a very special guest joining us here in the studio to both promote an event happening tonight, but also talk a little bit about his decision to make a statewide run for United States Senate here in Utah. Congressman John Curtis is here in the studio with us. And Congressman, appreciate taking the time for KVNU today and coming down in person. And welcome to Cache Valley. I apologize, the weather is not more pleasant today, but it's not as bad as it can be.
It's great. It's a delight to be here. You all know this. What a beautiful valley, beautiful place that you all live, and it's great to be with you. It's
great to have you. One of the things I am most excited about right now, not just in this race, but our statewide or our state legislative races, our local races, and more. I don't know what happened, but there are so many candidates, so many choices, and it really is an opportunity to get people excited about something other than the presidential race, which draws everyone out.
Yes.
But paying attention to these local races because they are so important. And so every little bit helps in just reminding people that these are afoot. And This has been, you and I spoke a couple of weeks ago about your decision to jump in the race, and it's no small decision to do that.
I'm making a decision that's going to involve probably more than a decade of my life, and put me on airplanes. I just hit 2 million miles with Delta a few weeks ago.
Wow!
and so it's no small thing to make this decision, but it's been a good choice.
It's been exciting to see the excitement around your campaign grow so quickly. This is in conjunction with an event you're having here. You're actually hosting these events throughout the state, campaign kickoff events, and officially kicking off the campaign here in Cache County tonight. For listeners, that is an open house event. This is for anyone. There is an RSVP at the website if you'd like to. That also gives you an opportunity to get some insider info on the campaign. And you can do that all at johncurtis.org. I've linked to that on our Facebook page. I've also linked directly to the RSVP for the campaign kickoff event tonight. It is at 7 p.m. at Murdoch Hyundai. That is 3131 North Main Street. Most people here in the Valley should know where that is. If you're listening in Box Elder or Rich and making the drive, 3131 North Main Street in Logan. A great lobby there. This will be an opportunity for people to just mingle and meet with you, John, and this is what's it like going from you've served quite a while as a mayor of Provo City.
8 years as mayor, right?
And then 6 years now as congressman in Utah's 3rd district, which I assume you've gotten to know well. And then here you are on a statewide campaign. You're familiar with the state, growing up and living here, but what are you hearing from people?
Well, it's exciting. I tell you what, people everywhere you go, they want to talk about the border, they want to talk about inflation, the economy. Energy prices, and of course, what am I going to do about it? And what are my answers? And so we have really good conversations. If they come tonight, we'll be talking about that and other topics. And there's some very, very important issues in the country right now.
It is quite a time, to say the least. I feel like I say this every presidential election. In fact, when we had outgoing at this point, Senator Mitt Romney in the studio a long time ago, I told him, I said, I thought that race would be the worst. And man, I feel so naive now. But here in Utah, in our statewide races it is still a pretty friendly environment.
You would hope so. What happens sometimes, especially in a race like this Senate race, you'll get out-of-state money that will come in.
Sure.
And that's usually where the negativity comes from, and it's unfortunate. I told my team it feels like I'm going to enter into a dark tunnel for 5 months because of that negativity that can come out, and it's actually too bad because it's hard to get candidates to do it in many cases.
I do feel like it scares a lot of folks off, unfortunately, but here you are running. This is you said that you in making this decision, one of the things that made you at first feel like, okay, maybe not right now. You feel like there was a lot of unfinished business in the House, and we're seeing a lot of that play out right now, literally. And you decided making the transition to the Senate was this was the right time for that. As you travel the state, I talk a lot with state lawmakers, and I know you have quite a reputation for keeping in contact, not just with lawmakers in your own congressional district where you've served so far, but in the minority and majority caucuses for the state at large. And they've complimented you on that to me.
Thank you.
That your office is very open to them. You speak with them on a regular basis. You're familiar with the varied challenges facing, so different from Garfield County to Cache County, and then even Rich County up here. So how, moving into a federal role in the Senate that would be for the state of Utah that you would represent, what role does federal policy play in, or if any, in meeting some of these challenges?
It is huge. You can't underestimate it. And so you talk about the different needs of the county. If you go down to San Juan County, all you have to say is Bears ears. And right. And the role of the federal government is dominant in these people's lives. And having a representative that they feel is their ally in that is incredibly important. And then if you go all the way up north, I represent Daggett County. You've got a county who had a federal project there to build that dam years ago, and the repercussions of that and how it impacts their lives even today is dramatic, and everything in between. And what I've learned is you would think, people talk about rural Utah. Oh, I get rural Utah. What I learned real quick is every county is different. Every issue in every county is different, and
Sure.
you don't, just because you know one county, you don't know the other counties.
That is, we get frustrated here. Well, I get frustrated here, and I'm hoping to get listeners frustrated with me. But the legislature increasingly, when they speak
Yes.
of Cache County, they use this term satellite community. And I learned that what that means to the legislature is a satellite community of the Wasatch Front. But here in Cache County, we still very much consider ourselves a rural community. We're aware of the university. We're aware of the population growth and how big Logan has gotten as our central city. But we think of ourselves as rural. But the fact is, and I think we're all starting to wake up to this a little bit, our concerns and needs right now are so different from Rich County, just a few miles away, Box Elder County, even fewer miles away. That's a big challenge.
It's a big challenge, particularly if you're trying to pass legislation on a statewide level that impacts all the counties the same. And then imagine trying to do that on a federal level. And this is where we get into trouble a lot of times on a federal level or a state level. Education is a really good example. The curriculum that should be taught in Moab is different than Logan and Salt Lake City and Provo. And so a lot of times, and this is a principle your listeners will understand, the closer you are to the people, the better decisions that you make. And honestly, if we're 2,000 miles away in Washington, D.C., rightly so, we're often criticized for meddling in people's lives.
Many people don't know this about you. I've always thought it was one of the most unique backgrounds I've heard for a mayor turned congressman turned candidate now for United States Senate. But you sort of made your way in life building shooting ranges and training law enforcement.
So this is like not planned, but you notice the jacket I'm wearing today says Action Target.
That's what reminded me of.
It says Action Target, and if you unzip the pocket that's actually a place for a firearm, I'm not carrying. I don't want to worry you, but I do.
We're used to it in this studio.
Yeah, a part of my professional life was with my partners. We designed, built, installed shooting ranges all over the world, and it was a fascinating business, a lot of fun, and boy, did I learn a lot.
One of the biggest issues popping up. So this, of course, will play out in a Republican competition with registered Republicans if it gets to a primary, making that vote be a primary ballot. And no offense to Democrats, and I know you've said you don't take anything for granted, but the reality is the general election, the Republican nominee will sweep that here in Utah, 60-40. I don't think this is the year for that to change, but it does mean that there's this very competitive race happening now. For the primary itself, and there, you talk to people, everyone has a very different priority. I know I have a lot of Republican friends who are, the debt and deficit is what they care about most, and Congressman Moore has made that a big part of his work in Congress as well here in Congressional District 1. Others, though, are looking at the border right now. Others are looking at the presidential race and saying, where are we going? A bigger philosophical question, where are we going as a country? What, for you, is a priority list?
Well, where I spend most of my time is actually something that impacts all of the things you just listed, and people don't really realize how big of a deal it is, and it's our energy policy. So if you look at Europe, just as a real quick snapshot, they started down this path and made some really bad decisions on energy. They shut down a lot of their fossil fuels and nuclear, and all of a sudden found themselves dependent on an enemy for fuel.
Sure.
And dirty fuel, quite frankly, and they're emitting more emissions than before they started. So I spend a lot of time, and of course I represent the basin, which is oil and gas, and carbon in Emery County, which is coal.
A lot of changes in that area, right? A lot of anxiety.
A lot. And so I spend a lot of my time on energy policy, making sure the United States is on a track that does not leave us dependent on other countries for fuel, that does not leave us with fuel we can't afford or that's not reliable. And then this is what surprises everybody, the approach that we take also reduces emissions. But it's a different approach than people have heard of in the past, and it's an important way to look at energy and make sure that we're not just energy dependent as a state, but as a country, and that we have a low, affordable energy that is also clean.
I often get frustrated with my friends on the left, though I admit I tend to agree with them more when it comes to green energy, to renewables, and our future, at least. That's where we're going to end up. I agree. But I get frustrated with them because oftentimes you hear calls of, well, let's just do away with coal burning. Let's just do. And I always say, go to Vernal and talk to people there.
Exactly.
Can we ease that transition for those communities so that we don't have I think this is a real possibility. It happened in other states on the East Coast, but so we don't have ghost towns.
So I'll tell you, this is what's so exciting about what I do is I've come to the conclusion is they can be relevant in an energy future forever. We don't have to make them a ghost town, and we can reach our clean goals as well. Here's a really interesting fact that your listeners, I'm sure, will probably have never heard of. When we produce natural gas here in the United States, we produce it 40% cleaner than Russia.
Wow.
So imagine if we exported U.S. natural gas around the world and replaced Russian natural gas. We would reduce more emissions than the entire Green New Deal. We would fuel our economy, and we would be not just energy independent, we would be energy dominant around the world. And I think too often this environmental conversation is had in these ideas that they're just not practical and turn people off, and
Sure.
so they're unhappy with it. And one of the things I'm trying to bring to everybody's attention is like you don't have to go down that road where you're doing these impractical things like Europe did, and we can fuel our economy, be energy independent. Fossil fuels can be part of that, and we can reduce emissions as well.
You did something amazing as a congressman recently, because I'm a nerd. I live and exist outside of the radio show in the nerd world. You introduced, you called it the Connect Rural America, built to Connect Rural America. You called it the Rural Broadband Protection Act. But the goal of this is to say, look, we want to expand. We want to make sure rural Utah is connected, just like Salt Lake City is, and has high-speed data options. It's part of the economy of the future, commerce, all of this. But we're spending a lot of money, and we're not sure if we're getting the result that
right.
And that was such a simple bill to see. And it was one of those bills you see introduced and you think, why was this not always a thing? Can you talk about the mindset behind that a little bit?
I can. So I do represent a lot of rural in what I do, and I've seen government swing at this and miss over and over again, as you've mentioned. And I think
it never seems to improve.
It just doesn't. It doesn't. I know. I get it. Right. And yet we need to be successful. We're in a world where if we can't get rural connectivity at a high level to our state, kids don't have the same advantage on education.
Sure.
Healthcare doesn't have the same advantage.
Those communities get left behind.
They get left behind, and even a farmer needs broadband to run their tractor some days, right? Like
Sure.
We have to have this connectivity, and yet in some cases we're doing well, in some cases we're not. And I want to make sure that we're getting to all the corners of the state, and that everybody has that chance to have good broadband access.
And it's such a unique approach. Instead of just saying, let's increase the spending, you're saying, let's look at how we're spending.
Increase the efficiency.
Yeah. Are we doing this, what we're already spending,
right.
Are we doing it the best way? For listeners, if you'd like to read the Rural Broadband Protection Act, I've linked to that on our Facebook page as well. Congressman John Stewart here in our studio again. He is here in Cache Valley tonight. I apologize. I just said John Stewart. It's a totally different guy. Although, did you see he's coming back to the Daily Show?
Could I interrupt you just to tell you of something funny? So
Please
Chris
do.
Stewart, who's been a good friend and served in Utah in the other district, and myself, John Curtis. Everywhere we go, we get confused.
Really?
And I get called John
Chris
Stewart
Curtis and John
Curtis,
Stewart.
And Chris is a very accomplished author, and so people will come up to me and ask me about my books.
If you can sign a book, huh?
Yes.
Do you sign them anyway?
Yeah, of course. He's an accomplished. He has 2 world records, or maybe even 3, for flying around the world in the Air Force. And people will ask me about my world records, and I just smile. And then they ask him how it was to be the mayor of Provo.
That's right.
And we just bear this burden of being confused. And if I'm going to be confused with anybody, I'll take Chris Stewart.
Well, I feel less bad about that mistake on my part then. It is Congressman John Curtis
there we go.
here in the studio. I've been made aware. No, that is, again, John Stewart on the brain with a news story open in my tabs here. But this is an opportunity for us to have you here in the studio to talk to you about this, and an opportunity for Cache County tonight. This is an open event. That means anyone's invited. It is open house style, happening in the lobby and if you've ever seen the lobby, it's a great place for an event like this. The lobby of the Murdoch Hyundai building, 3131 North Main Street tonight at 7 p.m. The John Curtis for United States Senate campaign hosting their official campaign kickoff event here in Cache County. If for any reason you can't make that, they head back down to Washington County and on from there, celebrating the launch of this campaign. And, of course, my phone's going to make that noise now. This is a pleasure to have you here in the studio. A unique question for you. Can you make, for listeners out there, an elevator pitch?
Yeah.
Do you have a prepared elevator pitch?
I do. My name's John Curtis. I'm running for the US Senate. I hope you'll take a look at me. I bring more experience than anybody else in the field. I actually get to carry my seniority over with me to the Senate. I've been able to pass 19 bills into law during the last 6 years, and I'm looking forward to an opportunity to serve you in Congress.
It's a pleasure to have you here joining us today in the studio in person, and you're welcome back anytime. This is, like I say, exciting for me, obviously, as a host of an afternoon radio show to have so many campaigns to talk about. But as a Utahn, as a registered voter, choice is very important. And I've never cared for the phrase war of ideas. It has a negative connotation, but it does kind of grasp it. This is an opportunity for people to take and vet different perspectives and different approaches. I mentioned, in this race, there is no technical incumbent. You're the closest thing with a track record in Congress, and we joked that you're also probably the busiest candidate because you've still got a job to do there in Congress as you run for Senate here. But it does give people a chance to look at your record in Congress and a chance tonight for people to talk to you about that in person. And please, come back and join us anytime. Best of luck with the campaign.
Thanks, Jason. Yeah.
And if you get over into the Tremont area, give the city council and mayor over there a hard time for us.
Okay, I'll do that and use your name.
It's the greatest example of what's happening here in northern Utah. This is a city that I talked to the mayor recently, and the mayor said, I said, what's going on in Tremont? And he said, let me put it this way. We are growing so fast we had to paint lines on the road this year. And that is really what we're facing here. So
what's next?
Right? That is how fast things are changing here in northern Utah. Congressman John Curtis, again, has been our guest. You can connect with his campaign both in person tonight at the campaign kickoff event at Murdoch Hyundai, 3131 North Main Street. That starts at 7 p.m. There is an RSVP option, which will get you some inside information on the campaign at the campaign website, johncurtis.org. I've linked to that on our Facebook page. And thank you again to you,
Thanks,
Congressman.
Jason.
Enjoy the race.
Let's do this again.
We will.
You.
We'll speak again soon, I hope.
Thank you.
To listeners, stay tuned. We'll get back to the For the People Theater Hour with Charlie Schill. A big announcement from Pickleville today after these headlines with KVNU's Bill Walter.
Thank you, Jason. KVNU News Time is 4:30, and the news is brought to you by U&I Furniture. The Boys and Girls Club of Northern Utah is holding their second annual casino night this Friday evening at 6 to raise much-needed funds. The event will be held at their club location, 650 East, 700 South in Brigham City, in the old Mountain View Elementary School building. Brittany Macbeth, the development director for the organization, said they have good prizes from area companies they hope will bring people to the casino night. Dinner is included in the package and will cost $35 per person. Casino Night is a product of a Utah company, Common Sense. Their home base is in Bluffdale, Utah. They do hundreds of events each year and supply their own card dealers and other professionals and authentic gaming tables to make the evening as authentic as a trip to Las Vegas. Macbeth said it's an opportunity for the community to come together, enjoy an evening of fun, and raise funds for the program. The money will help their programs to empower local youth to reach their full potential. 2 mule deer were killed illegally and left to waste near Porcupine Reservoir's boat ramp earlier this month, and the Utah Division of Wildlife Resources conservation officers are seeking information in connection to the poaching. DWR conservation officers were contacted by a concerned individual who found the dead deer near the reservoir boat ramp back on January 5th. Officers were sent to investigate the incident and found carcasses of the 2 mule deer, a doe and a yearling buck. Investigating officers determined both deer were killed after being shot multiple times with a .22 caliber firearm. Investigators estimate that the incident occurred sometime between January 2nd through the 5th when no deer hunts were taking place in that area at the time. DWR would like anyone with information regarding the illegal killing of these deer or any other wildlife-related crimes in Utah to report it to DWR conservation officers in one of the following ways. If anyone has information regarding this specific case, they can also contact DWR officer Nick Vidrine at 435-503-4971. A reward may be available for information leading to the successful prosecution of those responsible, and requests for confidentiality are respected. Utah conservation officers conduct numerous investigations into the illegal killing of wildlife every year. Last year, officers confirmed a total of 1,056 wild animals and fish were illegally killed, valued at over $619,000. And a worker was hospitalized after being shocked at a Utah copper mine while performing maintenance work. According to officials, the incident occurred around 3 p.m. last Wednesday when a contractor came in contact with electricity while working at Rio Tinto Kennecott in Magna. The worker was immediately transported to a nearby hospital where they remained for treatment. The person's current condition has not been released. KBNU News Time is 4:34.
UNI Furniture just took advantage of a last-minute opportunity. A name-brand furniture manufacturer called and discounted all of their showroom furniture from the furniture market. UNI Furniture sent a truck to pick it up, and it's all just arrived. Bookcases and TV consoles, some featuring built-in fireplaces, occasional tables, bedroom and dining room furniture, all in stock and discounted right now at UNI Furniture. So come shopping and take a look. There are one-time deals on name-brand furniture at a place where there's always a better buy at UNI Furniture in downtown Logan.
ABC News, I'm Chuck Sievertson. More bridge repairs, more high-speed internet, and more replacing of lead pipes. It's going ahead under the new investments and projects under the bipartisan infrastructure law announced in Superior, Wisconsin by President Biden.
How in God's name can we have the strongest economy in the world if we don't have the strongest and best infrastructure in the world? It's not possible. So we're determined to turn that around. We were determined to turn that on a big way.
The recession predictors on Wall Street and elsewhere were wrong, says Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen.
I see no reason why that can't continue. I think 2024 is going to be a very good economic year.
A report out today showing the U.S. economy grew at a strong 3.3% in the final quarter of last year. Commenting on that, testifying for less than 3 minutes, former President Trump at a New York trial, and advice columnist seeks over $10 million in defamation damages. This is ABC News.
KBNU weather for tonight, chance of rain or snow before 8 p.m., then a chance of snow later on this evening. Little or no accumulation expected. Overnight low in the mid-20s, around 25. Cloudy, then becoming mostly sunny, and the high temperature in the mid-30s. It's only been to 34 today. It's 32 right now at KBNU. Roof Rescue is dedicated to keeping your home safe and dry from minor repairs to complete roof replacement. Go to roofrescueusa.com or call 435-999-4268. You can always get more news at cashvalleydaily.com. Let's check Wall Street now with Edward Jones.
This is Ted Karen with Edward Jones Investments in Smithfield, bringing you the daily financial market report for Thursday, January 25th. Stocks finished higher following a better-than-expected reading for U.S. fourth-quarter GDP growth. Energy was the strongest performing sector of the S&P 500, supported by a nearly 3% rise in oil prices. On the corporate front, shares of Tesla were under pressure, declining by over 10% after reporting earnings per share below expectations after market close yesterday and projecting slower vehicle volume growth in 2024. Overseas, Asian markets finished higher overnight, with China's Shanghai Composite surging over 3%, following the People's Bank of China's announcement to cut bank's reserve requirement ratio in an effort to spur economic growth. European markets were mostly higher following the European Central Bank's decision to leave policy rates unchanged. Bond yields finished lower, with the 10-year U.S. Treasury yield closing around 4.12%. Market focus will shift to inflation to end the week with the December Personal Consumption Expenditures, or PCE, inflation reading out tomorrow. Tomorrow's inflation reading will provide the last reading on inflation before next week's FOMC meeting on January 31st. With expectations for the Fed to keep the policy rate unchanged, most of the focus will be on commentary from Fed Chair Jerome Powell. During its December meeting, the median Fed projections showed 0.75% worth of rate cuts in 2024. Markets have been much more aggressive in rate cut expectations, with the first rate cut priced in as early as March. Our view is that the Fed will likely remain on hold until there's further evidence that inflation is moving sustainably lower towards its 2% target, and we look for the Fed to begin cutting rates closer to mid-year. This has been today's Financial Market Report, brought to you by Ted Karen with Edward Jones, member SIPC, serving individual investors with personalized attention and financial advice.
Hi, this is Congressman Mike Simpson. Working for our men and women in uniform and those who have served our nation has been one of my top priorities in Congress. My local office is hosting a Veterans Resource Fair on Wednesday, February 21st from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. If you are a veteran who resides in Idaho's 2nd District, please swing by the Twin Falls County West Building located at 630 Addison Avenue West, Conference Rooms A and B. Contact us at 208-734-7219 for more information regarding the Veterans Resource Fair.
Paid for by official funds authorized by the House of Representatives.
We've given the congressman the boot, told him to get on about his way. Had important announcements to talk about. Charlie Schill here in the studio. Charlie was kind enough to give up some of his time today in our For the People Theater Hour, which happens every Thursday at 4, for Congressman John Stewart. I did it again. Congressman John Curtis. I read about John Stewart going back to the Daily Show before coming here today, and my brain just keeps saying, you mean John Stewart? No. Congressman John Curtis is running for United States Senate. He's been representing the 3rd Congressional District. He's here in Cache Valley tonight for a campaign kickoff event at 7 p.m. at Murdoch Hyundai, which is 3131 North Main Street. It is open to everyone. If you've got the time, get out. This is a really rare opportunity. Even if you aren't a registered Republican who can vote in this primary, it's a chance for you to talk to a congressman about all of the things going on in Congress. So 7 p.m. this evening, campaign kickoff event for Cache Valley here from the John Curtis for United States Senate campaign. Now, though, it is time for the People Theater Hour. And, Charlie, we have an announcement to talk about from Pickleville. We have...
Oh, we've got all kinds of stuff
Yeah, that's
to talk
actually
about.
Quite a bit all of a sudden on the calendar. Uh-oh. Did they crank your headset down? I saw him fiddling with that under this table there. There you go. Oh, well.
Anyway, we're in kind of a lull here. I say that every week.
It's nice to have a breather.
Not only has that been impacting us, but it's impacting other people as well. Wendy Hassan from the Cache Valley Center for the Arts took advantage of the lull to go to the East Coast to put in their bid for all kinds of shows for the touring season next year. And
I would love to follow. Just be a fly on the wall.
And she's let me in on a few things, but I'm sworn to secrecy.
Uh-oh.
But anyway.
Can we at least find out if you went, oh, wow?
No.
Or would that be too revealing?
You cannot find out if I went, oh, wow. But on the way back, she came up with a neat idea. She wants to do a benefit production of Greater Tuna.
Oh.
Are you familiar with that show?
Yes, that would be fun.
Okay.
To benefit the theater?
Yeah. And, it's the story about a radio station in the 3rd smallest town in Texas.
Yeah, and it's fun.
Yeah.
It's a fun story.
She wants it to star us.
Oh, no. Well, there goes all that money she could have made.
We're gonna play Arl Struve and Thurston Wheelis of a rural radio station OKKK and a host of other characters. Like
I'm on board.
Vera Karp of the Smut Snatchers of the New Order.
Yeah.
Petey Fisk of Greater Toonie Humane Society.
I always love that one.
Dee Dee Snavy of Dee Dee's Used Weapons.
Yeah.
And the infamous members of Bertha Bum Miller's family.
Oh, how funny.
So, are you ready?
It's so good. I'm ready. I'll do it.
Damn, you were supposed to say, you got to be kidding.
Oh, you've got to be kidding me.
Okay. And I was.
We really should make this happen.
No, that was her idea. She had me going for a while. I kept
That
going,
is funny. I'll do it.
And then she said, "No, I'm just kidding."
I honestly think this could be a really fun event. Although
yeah,
I'm not saying we'd be good at it.
With anybody else but us, yes.
That is great. Just the thought of the touring season announcement. It's probably I always hesitate when I say stuff like this because it makes it sound like I'm putting everyone else down, and I'm not. But it really is, I think, one of the second only to maybe the calendar for the Festival Opera. It's one of the biggest announcements of the year. Each year.
Oh, yeah.
When they unveil that touring season, because it's such an eclectic mix of events. It's so many events. I mean, it's a pretty big deal. It's. I'm guessing Julie Hollis Terrell and the Cash Visitors Bureau are if they don't get an inside leak on the calendar, they're waiting for that announcement.
They won't tell you. You can forget it.
No, they are pretty strict about that.
You bet your life.
And I don't blame them. That is very cool. When did they announce last year? I can't remember. They did it here in our studio.
Yeah.
Was it March or February?
March or April. I'm not sure which. But Wendy thinks she'll have a fairly good feel for what she can bring in by at least late March or early April. And she definitely wants to come in and do it here again.
That'll be fun. I'm game.
And, by the way, don't bring any whiny candidates in
that day
on February 9th.
We'll make sure.
Because I'm going to bring Gavin in. He's got a couple of announcements he wants to make. So.
Nice. I already have told everyone I know in the campaign world, all right, this is the last time we do this on Thursday. That's our theater hour. They keep planning their kickoff events on Thursday, 2 weeks in a row.
Well, they're trying to avoid things like the city council and the county council.
Yeah. But I'm sorry, you're going to have to sacrifice a Friday night, candidates.
Well, one of these things tonight, I was going to be we shouldn't be talking politics, but anyway, one of the things I was going to be interested in was how many of our local political figures would show up at that event.
That's what I'm looking at, too.
But they can't. They've got a town hall that they've got to do.
Yep. They're doing the virtual town hall, and some of them are staying in Salt Lake. So, we'll see. If I'm curious to see if any of the so there are some candidates that wouldn't necessarily be busy tonight. I'm curious to see if they show up tonight in that House 3 race. But it's going to be interesting, to say the least. You're going to the event, right, tonight, or at least stopping by?
Yeah,
get some
unfortunately.
Pictures. The life of a journalist. Soon, though, you've got some theater events to get out to and take your mind off all this politics that this year is going to be about.
Yeah,
we have, of course.
I don't remember this whole thing being so busy.
Yeah. It's definitely
in what do you call it? In the previous years.
Yeah, it's the last time I kind of remember it being like this, and it was very temporary. But the year that who left? It was the year Mike Lee was elected 2010. And there were 400 Republicans in January filing for office. The Attorney General Mark Shurtleff, who accidentally announced his own campaign in a tweet he thought was a private message. And that was funny. But you had 400 Republicans running, and by February they'd all dropped out. And then by the time the campaigns really got going, it was just Mike Lee and Tim Bridgewater.
Well, yeah.
That was the last time I remember it being this chaotic.
Once the primary is over,
it's over.
It's over.
Yeah.
Basically.
And that's this will play out the same way, but I feel like the candidates, you're not going to see as many candidates drop out as early. I don't think it's going to get down to two-person race in a lot of these races for a long time. And, yeah.
Most of them are in the running to gather signatures.
Yeah.
So they're guaranteeing themselves at least that they'll be in till the primary.
Yeah. It's going to be – it's a good year for voters, Well, I don't know. It depends on how you look at it.
It's never a good year for voters.
It's a good year as far as choices for voters, but that does mean you're going to get hammered. And, man, what I would give for the television market in Utah to be broken up regionally, because we're going to see every ad for every race for months.
Jason. Don't talk politics.
I know. I'm sorry. Let's take our last break, and then we'll not do the politics. We do have an announcement from Pickleville that came this week.
Yep.
And also some shows coming up, including the big arrival from Sweden, the music of ABBA, February 21st. Tickets going fast for that one. Valentine's Day Comedy Night, also a lot of tickets going for that. And just coming up next here at Eccles Banff Outdoor Programs Film Tour, sponsored by USU Outdoor Programs and Camp Saver. We'll talk about it all right after this.
Bear Lake's Monster Winterfest is January 26th through the 28th. Come on up for 3 days of fun and adventure. It kicks off Friday morning with winter sports at the sinks and lookout areas in Logan Canyon. On Saturday, watch hundreds of brave souls jump into the icy cold waters of Bear Lake for the Monster Plunge and Cardboard Boat Regatta. Warm up with a bowl of chili at the Chili Cook-Off. And don't miss the 5K Run and Cisco Fishing Tournament. Go to BearLakeMonsterWinterfest.com to register. Bear Lake's Monster Winterfest, January 26th through the 28th. Go to BearLake.org for all the details.
Are you in need of excellent surgical care? Budge Clinic General Surgery offers the future of surgery with state-of-the-art robotic-assisted procedures. From cancer treatments to surgical needs, they've got you covered. Call Budge Clinic General Surgery today, 435-716-1950, to schedule a consultation and experience the best possible outcome. Trust Doctors Anderson, Marshall, McKenna, and Peterson, the experts at Budge Clinic General Surgery, helping people live the healthiest lives possible.
If you were injured in an accident, you need someone in your corner, someone to help guide you through the mess of medical bills and all the confusion. The answer is talk to the Advocates, now with offices in Logan at 95 West, 100 South. The Advocates can explain your options and give you an upfront evaluation of your situation. And the good news, you'll never spend a dime of out-of-pocket expenses. Call the Advocates, 801-350-5550. That's 801-350-5550. Or chat online at UtahAdvocates.com.
It's a new year and an opportunity to plan for the future. That's what we're doing here, the Cache Valley Media Group. We're in the middle of a significant upgrade in the technology we use to bring our community the best of local news, weather, sports, music, and entertainment. But in the process of doing that, we may encounter a few bumps in our programming along the way. We assure you, we're aware, and our team is working very hard to make our transition as seamless as possible. Thanks for your patience. Thanks for listening to this radio station. And from all of us at the Cache Valley Media Group, we hope you have a great 2024.
Welcome back to KVN News for the People. Charlie Schill here in the studio. CAPSA representatives coming up in hour two. We spent October talking to CAPSA each week in celebration or recognition, I should say, of Domestic Violence Prevention Month, which is every October. And during a conversation, we got talking about the fact that we have CAPSA on all the time, And we never really spent a lot of time on something CAPSA also does, which is education and training for prevention. So we decided to check in with them somewhat regularly through the next year leading up to Domestic Violence Prevention Month, October 24, and talk a bit more about prevention, things we can all do in our communities and our lives. So representatives of CAPSA will be with us here at 5. Just a few minutes left of the For the People Theater Hour today. And, Charlie, we had a text announcement from Pickleville this week on their full lineup for the summer, including, I've already forgotten the name of the original, but it's original. It's not even a spin-off of their long-running original titles.
They're going to do something called Welcome to Dangerville. That's their melodrama, which they're calling a Western misadventure. It'll be the usual thing. Derek Davis is going to write and direct and compose, and the show will center on a family of a young couple named Hunter, who are chasing around the country, checking out orphanages, looking for a child they can adopt, and they end up in Dangerville. They get robbed by a gang of bandits.
Yeah.
And so they turn bounty hunters.
That's honestly just a fun idea for taking the original in a new direction. And then the not original show will be Newsies.
Newsies, which has been done here.
Yeah.
Twice in recent memory. Once by Festival Opera in I think 2019.
I forgot they did it.
And once by Music Theater West last year.
Just last year. And that was pretty popular. I'm curious to see that's a show that, well, I guess it doesn't demand a bigger cast than Pickleville really has, but it's traditionally
there you go. That's a show.
Traditionally, a lot of folks on stage, right?
Normally packed. I mean,
yeah.
We've seen it twice on the stage in the Eccles, and it was jammed.
Yeah, 100 people on stage in some scenes.
Trying, big production numbers. So trying to turn that thing into a Pickleville show is going to be challenging.
With a stage where you can only have 5 people safely on stage at one time.
Yes, that's true.
I'm curious to see how they do that.
I mean, it's the stage is not wide, it's not deep, it's just there.
That's so it'll be interesting to see kind of they'll obviously have to scale that down cast-wise a little bit, and I'm curious to see how they do that. And then how do you feel about their I guess it's their fall show, not their Halloween show.
The play that goes.
So they're doing that again.
Wrong again. Yeah.
It was really good. It was. But they're bringing that one back. I really, if I had predicted they would return to the Addams Family, but they're going to repeat.
Yeah, they could do that on succeeding years.
Yeah.
But that was one of the more successful shows they've staged in the fall.
Yeah.
I mean,
it was good.
The place was just packed.
Oh, they did it really well.
And they did it well, you're right.
I think it was honestly one of the most, it was a time when you saw Pickleville really show off.
Yeah.
And it's fun to see them show off.
I mean, and there's great stuff in that. The guy who's trying to hold up all the scenery while he's singing.
That's right.
I mean, there's
stuff falling out of windows.
There's really neat stuff in that show.
That was it was well done the way they did it, and
you've almost got the opportunity to bring back the entire original cast as well.
Sure, that's right. They're all still here.
With the exception of Jordan Todd Brown and Slater Ashenhurst.
Yeah.
Jordan's out on the East Coast in New York, but they could probably come back for that one.
I think, it's if you didn't get a chance to see this, it's really, it is a fun show.
They're playing with the gimmick of a play within a play.
Yeah.
And there's all kinds of inside jokes about theater. It's a really fun production to see. And it was a surprise last year. I think people didn't know what to expect.
Yeah.
And they got what they got what they came for. They had a good time.
Yeah. And I think that it is Pickleville has this thing where when they repeat something a second year, it's sort of like we did it the first year, we pulled it off, it was a hit, and now we can play with it a little bit. And so I think it's going to be interesting to see how they do that with the play that goes wrong this fall. So yeah, pretty exciting year from Pickleville. That announcement coming just this week. Welcome to Dangerville. Their original production starts mid-May, towards the end of May, I guess. Newsies, Disney's Newsies starts in June, and then
runs to August,
and then late September they take the stage of their fall production repeat of last year's The Play That Goes Wrong. And Charlie, thank you. I know we've got February full of events for the Eccles. We've got USU shows, which will be kicking off from the King College of the Arts. So our lull is over.
Just about,
but plenty to talk about, and we'll see you next week. Enjoy. Give the congressman a hard time when you go tonight. You can read Charlie's work each and every day at CashValleyDaily.com. Reviews, news stories, and more. He'll be back with us next Thursday at 4 for a full hour of For the People Theater Hour. We're done with these candidate interruptions for the time being.